Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。While US President Joe Biden is taking bro-mantic trips to warmonger in Ukraine, as those in Ohio are ignored while they suffer under a hideous environmental disaster, the adults are trying to get the world back on track. China's foreign ministry spokesperson pushes the UN to investigate the Nord Stream sabotage to safeguard the world from further acts of war. And diplomat Wang Yi meets with Vladimir Putin in Moscow while promising the release of a 10-point plan for peace. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. While those of us outside the great Disinformation Wall of America witness the United States literally falling apart in real time, Chinese leaders keep showing the rest of the world how adults get things done. After denying the residents of East Palestine, Ohio, disaster relief funds to help get over that devastating chemical catastrophe going on there at the moment, President Biden jetted off to Kyiv, Ukraine, to personally deliver another $500 million in taxpayer dollars to keep the fighting going and continue edging the world closer to World War III. Take a look. Oh, sorry, wrong clip, but that was as he was leaving Poland. Let's try again.
It's just unbelievable that the man who's been elected to work for the American people is completely absent and is over in the Ukraine. It's just hard to even fathom it. It's so simple.
And he brought another $500 million in promises in U.S. taxpayer dollars when we're $31 trillion in debt. So that's a dirty, dirty swamp deal because the Biden family has been making money off Ukraine for years, and now they're paying it back. They're giving them all this U.S. taxpayer money, $100 billion plus $500 million.
And people here are suffering.
So while Biden is off funding death and suffering, China's officials are working hard to try to get the world back on the path to peace and stability. Politburo Central Committee member and top diplomat Wang Yi met with a number of Russian leaders over the past few days, including President Vladimir Putin, Nikolai Prashuvich, Secretary of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Wang Yi and President Putin discussed deepening relations between China and Russia and the role that the two countries will play in stabilizing the world and promoting peace and order. Putin said, "Cooperation in the international arena between the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China, as we have repeatedly said, is very important for stabilizing the international situation." Wang Yi added, "Against the backdrop of a very complex and volatile international situation, Sino-Russian relations have withstood pressure from the international community and are developing very steadily." Not good news for Washington. During his time in Moscow, Wang Yi has mentioned Beijing's upcoming 10-point plan for peace. I'm still not sure when exactly it will come out, but I'm anticipating its release sometime this or next week. Peace. Can you imagine Biden coming out with a plan for peace? Not in a million years. In his meeting with the Secretary of Russia's Security Council, the pair discussed peace and stability in the world, as well as their desire to see a more fair international order that isn't just at the behest of a hegemonic Washington and its allies. Xinhua news agency reported, "The two sides discussed the current international strategic situation and expressed their willingness to jointly practice true multilateralism, oppose all forms of unilateral bullying, and promote democracy in international relations and a multipolar world." Both parties believe that peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region should be firmly maintained and that the introduction of Cold War mentality, bloc confrontation, and ideological conflict should be opposed. Of course, the China-Russia relationship is terrifying the old guard in Washington, with Secretary of State Antony Blinken throwing his toys out of the cot. Western mainstream media stenographers at CNN have already started putting out scaremongering copy, suggesting Beijing is ready to supply weapons to Moscow, they say. US officials familiar with the intelligence told CNN earlier Saturday that the US has recently begun seeing disturbing trend lines in China's support for Russia's military, and there are signs that Beijing wants to creep up to the line of providing lethal military aid to Russia without getting caught. Those officials would not describe in detail what intelligence the US has seen, suggesting a recent shift in China's posture. Wow, I'm so surprised. So basically, it's just another case of trust me, bro, with the mainstream media. Now, remember how complicit they were in manufacturing consent to invade Iraq and kill 1 million innocent Iraqis, all based off lies? Yeah, so let's not let that happen again. In case you're wondering, China's stance on the Ukraine crisis has been exactly the same from the very beginning. As Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang said yesterday, for probably the 567th time, China's position on the Ukraine issue is consistent and clear. We will continue to stand firmly on the side of dialogue and peace. By the way, even former President Donald Trump, who credits himself as the only president in a long time to not start a war while in office, knows how dangerous the current international situation is, fueled by the Biden administration. Let's take a look.
Through weakness and incompetence, Joe Biden has brought us to the brink of World War III. We're at the brink of World War III, just in case anybody doesn't know it. If I was president, there would not have been a war with Russia in Ukraine, zero chance. I would have a peace deal negotiated within 24 hours. You could make a peace deal, you could make a deal for both right now, 24 hours. That deal could be done. That deal is waiting to be done, but there's nobody to do it.
Now, I know many of you are not surprised at all to see Trump talking more sense than the other guy. In another show of how the adults deal with international crises, Wang has called on the UN to investigate the Nord Stream pipeline attacks following the damning expose from Pulitzer Prize-winning US journalist Seymour Hersh, which alleged Biden and the CIA planned and carried out the attack with the help of Norway. He said, "The Nord Stream gas pipelines are major transboundary infrastructure and energy transportation arteries. The explosions had a major negative impact on the global energy market and the ecological environment. It also caused energy shortages for businesses and households in many European countries this winter. China believes that there should be an objective, impartial, and professional investigation into the explosions, and those responsible must be held to account. It is increasingly clear that what happened to the Nord Stream pipelines was by no means an accident, but rather a deliberate act. Failure to find out why it happened and who is behind the destruction may leave the malign actors an opportunity and encourage them to do whatever they want, and may even instigate more terrorist activities, which could further destabilize the already troubled global security landscape. This puts the interests of every country at stake." Well said. Hopefully, the UN will take the call for an investigation seriously and hold the culprits to account. Such an act of war inside Europe, or anywhere in the world for that matter, is absolutely unacceptable. What else is unacceptable is the complete and utter silence surrounding the allegations from mainstream media inside the great Disinformation Wall of America. But that's something we've come to expect. The world is in a complete mess right now, but it's great to see that in the midst of it all, we have mature and humane leaders doing their best to bring back peace and stability. Right, now let's take a quick look at the latest reports on China poll on YouTube. I asked you guys which of the following mainstream media headlines about the recent trip by Shanghai officials to Taipei in Taiwan was fake. The choices were: Taiwan visit by Chinese spurs internal political tension. China representative met with protests on visit to Taiwan. Top Pentagon official in Taiwan amid stir against Chinese visit. Amid soaring military tensions, Chinese officials reached Taiwan. And the final choice? None of the above. They're all real. The West hates peace and dialogue. Well, thankfully, the majority of you are already smart to the negative tricks of mainstream media when it comes to China, with 85% knowing full well that all of the headlines were actually real reports on the delegation's visits. Some things will never change. Well, that's all for today, you guys. As always, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know down below as usual. Also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.